Hello, welcome. Hi, Linda.
Hello, Aubrey. Hello, everybody. Good to see you
Hello.
all.
Yes, we're glad you're here for week 3. I can't believe it's week 3 already. Honestly, it makes me go, where is summer going? Hold on a minute. But here we are, week 3. Um, we do have a problem over on Facebook, streaming to Facebook. So we did just share the YouTube link. So hopefully everyone will find that. And just a reminder, we will be sending the replay out in email as well. So if you have a buddy that wants to see this, maybe let them know to check out YouTube. Okay. So what do you got in store for us today, Linda?
So we have week 3 today. Should I reveal it behind me?
Let's do it. I'm going to make your camera big so we can see what you got.
Here we are. We have week 3. We have A3, B2, C1, and then A7, B6, C5, D4, E3, F2, and E7 and F6. Maybe I'll take
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. We're closing in.
So this week, the block is called Friendship Star. So we have 3-piece friendship stars right here. And then we have quilted friendship stars all along the middle.
It's gorgeous. Look at that. It's coming together.
Two more piece friendship stars down here in the corner. So there we go. I think are you all understanding now why we call it Divine Divide?
I think they're catching on to why. I think you're right.
Right. And I think, as per usual, that was Nina's idea because she's really good at naming things.
She is good at naming. I'm terrible at it. So, and why is that so hard? Why is naming so difficult?
I don't know. It just is. It just is.
You're right.
Okay, so this is my fall colorway behind me. And Aubrey, if you could bring up my little camera here. Here's the spring colorway. So this is the pretty little 6-inch block. You can see a closer view of it with the quilting. And I think it's cute as a button. This happens to be block. As you can see, I have it labeled here. And then this is my white on white quilted friendship star.
Beautiful.
All right, so let's talk about what we're going to need today. So this, I have my battleizer all hooped up and ready to go. This will be my friendship star 1. And I just wrote on ink here so you could see what I'm working on. I need to make 10 of these. And this actually is this little column right here. This is friendship star 1. So I need 10. We're making 5 blocks. So each block will get 2 of the friendship star 1. And this is friendship star 2. And I need to make 5 of those. And that's the very center of the friendship star block. And these are pieced in columns, just like all the other ones we've done so far. So in my hoop, you can see I've got my battleizer hooped. I did my first 3 steps, which is my placement stitch. I decided to do my optional wool. I laid that down. It tacked it down. And then the 3rd step is another placement stitch. And I did that for both friendship star 1 and friendship star 2. I used a dark colored thread so you could see what it looks like or where it is, but you will use water soluble thread for all 3 of those steps. So I'm going to switch my camera over to the machine. And oh wait, before we do that, let's talk about the fabrics we need for friendship star 1. This is fabric 1 and fabric 3 triangle, and they are right sides together. The diagonal edge is cut even. And we put a pin on the fabric one side. So you want to do these to all your little triangles for your friendship star 1 blocks. Fabrics 1 and 3 go right sides together with a pin on the fabric one side. And then you will also need fabric. This is 2, I believe. You'll need 2 pieces of fabric 2. That's for Friendship Star 1. And then for Friendship Star 2, you'll need 2 of your Fabric 1 triangles and 2 of your Fabric 3 triangles and 1 of your Fabric 4 in a square. So now I'm ready to go to the machine.
All right. Well, you switch cameras. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Hopefully it will avoid making anyone sick. I just have a couple announcements as Linda gets set up. First being that Linda actually, as well as being a co-founder, digitizer, designer at Hoop Sisters, she also owns 2 local quilt shops in Illinois, and they are going to be celebrating their 35 years in business, which is really awesome. And we are going to be doing a pop-up shop, Hoop Sisters is, at her store. So we're super excited. We were just talking before the live started and who's going to go and what we're going to have. So it's going to be a lot of fun. That's Friday, August 9th and Saturday, August 10th. And I know it's only June 12th, but it goes quick. So if you want to plan your trip, then now would be a good time to do that. Linda, you let me know when you're ready. Do you want me to keep going or are you switched over?
Not quite yet.
Okay.
I would like to add that we're planning some, I can talk while I get this set up at the same time. We're planning some demos and to show you new stuff before it actually comes out. So that's going to be a lot.
Yes, it's going to be a lot of fun. And then also, I think what's going to be fun is if you came to the fall open house in Ohio, we're not a quilt shop, so we don't have fabric and all these other things. Linda's got a quilt shop and we'll have Hoop Sisters stuff there. So it'll be a nice little combination. All right, you ready?
I think so. I got a thread, but that's okay. You come on.
All right.
Okay, so I am on step number 3 of Friendship Star 1. Let me get my machine threaded. You would think I would have done this before we started, but no. Okay, so step number 3. I think earlier I misspoke. These are steps 1 and 2 that you see right here. 1 and 2 on Friendship Star 1 and 1 and 2 on Friendship Star 2. I'm going to move my microphone closer, Aubrey.
Good idea.
Probably can hear me better now.
Yeah.
Okay, so fabrics 1 and fabric 3 need to go right sides together, and you can put a pin in it. And if you get all of your little triangles set up like this, then you're ready to go. Make sure that your fabric 1 is on top, and hopefully you can see right here. There's a placement line right here. This line is actually where the raw edge of your triangle is going to be placed up against. So I will place that raw edge of the triangle right up against there. I'm going to take the pin out. I'm going to make sure I have my fabric extending on both sides. I've got regular sewing thread in my needle. I like to use an Aurifil when I'm doing piecing in the hoop. It's just what my machine likes. You can use whatever you want, regular or neutral thread we call it. So you could use embroidery thread if you like, but something neutral. So I'm going to stitch the seam. So there's my seam, and then I will flip my fabric right side up. And you want to make sure, again, just double check that your fabric 1 is here, your fabric 3 is here. And then you want to just give it a nice finger press and smooth out your fabric. And then the next step is going to tack down the top. It's also going to tack down the bottom. Just want to keep your fabric nice and smooth. I'm bringing my hoop a little bit closer because I'm going to take my little mini hoop scissors and go ahead and trim that seam, leave about a scant 1/4 inch. And I'll do the same up here. And then the next step, I am on step number 5, and that's where I place fabric 2 right side down over fabric 1. So that will be at the top. So I'll take my fabric 2, place it. I'm going to put my cut edge of fabric 2 even with my cut edge of fabric 1, and I'll make sure I have even amounts on both sides of my block, and then let it stitch the seam. And now I am on step 6, and for step 6 I need to take this fabric I just stitched and flip it up and out of the way, because I will take that same fabric 2 and place it right side to my fabric 3, keeping those cut edges even, and about a 1/2 inch, about equal amounts on either side. Stitch my seam. Next is step 7, and this is an important step to use the water soluble thread. So I am going to switch out to the water soluble thread because it's going to base down all around my block, because I have fabric kind of loose here. I've got it loose on the sides. So I want to make sure all of that is based down nice and close to the fabric, so my quilting will all line up beautifully. So let me switch to my water soluble. So before I stitch my water soluble step, of course I want to make sure my fabric is nice and smooth. So you want to make sure your seams are nice and flat by giving them a finger press. I also, if possible, I like to slow my machine down for this step, because you're holding a lot of fabric in place, and that way the machine will go nice and slow and you don't have to worry about trying to keep up with it. See my water soluble basting line hit exactly at my corners, because I did a really nice smoothing and finger pressing right there. So this is the last step of this particular block. That went pretty quick, and this is the quilting step. So I'm going to remove the water soluble and put in my white embroidery thread to match all of my other quilting that I've done. And I've seen a lot of you use all different colors of thread, the variegated, some real contrasting thread. It's really kind of fun to see what everybody's doing. So this is my quilting step. And I let it take a couple stitches and I cut my thread. And I can speed it up for this step. So I see a couple questions I can answer while it's stitching the embroidery. Marcia wants to know is it a 1/4 inch over the line or along the line? That center line, I believe you're referring to your fabric 1 and 3 triangles that we put right sides together. You're going to put the cut edge of the diagonal cut edge of the triangles on the line, not over the line. I made it a 1/4 inch away from the seam line. So hopefully that helps. And then Sue wants to know, will the Hoop Sisters pop-up be in August, be at both locations? It will only be in our Woodstock location. We only have so many things we can pop up, right, Aubrey?
That's right. Because at the very same time, we have the All Ohio Shop Hop going on in Ohio. We got a lot going on.
And we have the All Illinois Shop Hop going on in Illinois.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are going to be in the Woodstock location. We have more space there. So that's where it will be held. Alrighty, this block is done. That's the Friendship Star 1. So you need to stitch 10 of those. So Friendship Star 2 is next.
So what I love about this block, Linda, is that the triangle, it's not a straight line, but that quilting makes it almost look like a curve.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
It really fools your eye, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Friendship Star 2, this is where we are going to put our beautiful fabric. I think this is fabric 4 in the middle, and then we have our fabrics 1 and 3 as triangles on top. So this one's pieced obviously differently because it's a different section. I went ahead and already did the first 2 steps. I did use a green thread so you could see it, and hopefully you can see the green stitching here and here, because this is where our triangles will go. And so I am actually on step number 3, and this is where we will place our, but I need water soluble. Give me a second. I got to do it right. I just can't. Because this is going to tack down that center square, and so the thread will be on the seam line when I join it together. And so I definitely want to have water soluble there in case when I sew the seam together, I have a little bit of it showing. So my water soluble's in. I will place this fabric directly over the center of that square, and I can peek under there and make sure that I've got plenty of seam allowance, and I do. And so now we're going to just let it tack it down. And I don't think I mentioned today, but I know I've mentioned it at other lives that we did. When you are using the optional wool, it's definitely optional. If you have the ability to raise the height of your presser foot, we do that. We do raise it up just a little bit, just so it glides right over the wool. So you can see I stitched down my little piece of fabric, number 4, and I'm going to trim the top and the bottom, leaving about a scant 1/4 inch left. And for the next step, it's a seam, so I do not want to use water-soluble thread. I think this week we had some water-soluble thread incidents. There was I forget what it was, but there was a person or two who had a little incident forgetting to switch it or didn't switch it. I had a good friend that made the Feathered Star years and years and years ago when it first came out. And she did, her quilting was white, and she did her quilting in water soluble on a couple of blocks. And then when she washed it was so sad. Okay, so I have my regular thread in the needle right now. And the next step is going to be step 4. And we're going to place a triangle of fabric 3 right side up, right side down over the center square, keeping the top edge even with the center block. So there is a diagram in your instructions that show you exactly how to lay it, but that's how it's going to go, with the diagonal edge right here. And I'm keeping this edge even with the raw edge underneath it. And I will let it stitch the seam. Now we flip this up, and you know it's right if this cut edge of your triangle aligns or is the same direction as the stitching here in your battleizer or your wool. So then you know you got it right. So I flip it up, give it a finger press right here, smooth it out nice and flat, and it's going to tack it down right now. So this will be step number 5. Now you might be tempted to leave that fabric. However, on mine, my next fabric is white, and I don't want to see that dark purple showing through. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this, leaving a scant 1/4 inch left. So if anything does show, it's just a tiny little bit. So the next step, we're on to step number 6, and we'll place a triangle of fabric 1 right side down over the fabric 3, keeping a diagonal edge even. So this diagonal edge here will stay even with the diagonal edge on my purple. And I do want to make sure that it actually is over it. I don't want to see any purple coming through like this, because then when I flip it up, it'll actually show through on my finished project. So I do trim it a little bit close and then let it overlap just a tiny bit. And this will be a seam. So this part that we just sewed, we're just going to leave it up there. We're not going to worry about that right now. We're going to work on this one down here. And this is step 7. And we'll place a triangle of fabric 3 right side down over the center square. So it will actually be here when it's finished. So we'll flip it up like this, right side down over the center square. You can refer to your instructions because there's a diagram on which angle, which direction that angle should be. So it goes just like that. And we'll get it aligned in the, like center it right here. And we'll stitch this seam. Then this will flip forward. This will be step number, where am I? Step number 8. And we'll finger press right here, smooth it out nice and flat, and it's going to tack this down. And again, I do need to trim this because I don't want that showing through on my white fabric. If you have a dark fabric or, darker than this, you probably could get away with leaving it. But mine's white, so I need to trim it. And then the next step is to take your next triangle, and this will be step number 9. This is fabric 1. You'll place your diagonal edge even with this diagonal edge, keeping it somewhat centered. And because it's white, I'm going to make sure I don't see any purple coming through here. So then we can stitch the seam. So the next step is going to tack down all of my loose edges. So of course I need to switch to my water soluble thread. And before I let it stitch, I want to finger press this edge again, make it nice and smooth. I'm going to slow down my machine because I need to control my fabric while it's coming all the way around the block. So I'm going to just in advance just finger press this one as well. And then I will let it stitch. If you need to stop it part way to get your fabric smooth, you can go ahead and do that. If you're able to slow it down, it's very helpful. So the last step on this block is the quilting. So I'll switch to my white embroidery thread. So we have a few questions because that's got a couple of minutes to quilt. So maybe I could answer some questions. So Pamela says, do you put the foot down when you begin quilting? My machine, the presser foot goes up and down on its own. If yours doesn't, you definitely need to put your foot down so you have tension in your top thread. So yes, put it down, please. That would be great. Linda, also bad to use water-soluble thread when sewing bathing suits. That is so true, Linda.
Unless you want to pull a really bad prank on someone.
I'm very curious if that's happened to you or oh. Chris says she loves the block and she just finished embroidering this one. That's great. It's an easy one. It's a lot of fun. And Linda again, she wants to know if we use cotton thread for the seams. I do. I use Orifil quilting thread because my machine loves it. It does a great job with the seams. But I believe Annie and Sarah, they probably use their embroidery thread. Whatever your machine likes, just something neutral so it doesn't show. And Susan, I'm not sure if I can help you, Susan. I only see one set of directions for cutting. Is that for both size blocks? So your cutting is going to be on your fabric and thread key. And there's actually two. There's a cutting chart for your 6-inch block and there's a cutting chart for your 8-inch block. So they're on pages 2 and 3 of your fabric and thread key. That's where you'll find all your cutting. Oh, Brenda, she finished 4 of the quilting blocks this morning, had to make Franken batting. Yep, that's the best stuff ever. Okay, so I'm going to move my camera, Aubrey, because I'm done stitching.
All right. Well, then what I'm going to do is share my screen again because I always have an announcement of some sort. So we talked about the pop-up shop. And in fact, I want to go back to that for just a second. Someone asked about if it was at both locations. We do have the address right on that banner. So it's the store in Woodstock. And we would love it if you would register on that registration button. This is just going to help us with planning. So it doesn't cost anything to come. We hope you do plan a trip. If you do, please register. That would help us out. And then the other announcement I have is we have a strawberry patch workshop coming up Thursday and Friday, June 20th and 21st. And Sarah's in here right now. Sarah, wouldn't you agree? I know she's digitizing something and now I'm bugging her. Wouldn't you agree that this might be the most inner office wise exciting? Everyone's excited for this.
Yes,
like everyone here in Lima office is like, cannot wait for this one because they love this one.
I think everyone loves it.
So wait. In Illinois, Karen's already made a sample of it. It's so cute.
Yeah, so I think it spreads to Illinois 100%. In fact, Linda, I haven't told you this, but I gave Eve, who is doing our marketing stuff now, I gave her the picture because it's a little different than the one that we have. So,
oh yeah, I figured you would like that. Annie said you.
Oh yeah, so we will definitely be sharing that. But I really want to encourage you to register because I don't know if Linda's still moving stuff around, but you get the absolute cutest free gift. By the way, we had to sort of twist Sarah's arm.
A little bit.
Let me get rid of this. Okay, so you get the cutest little free gift, which is a strawberry mug rug in the shape of a strawberry. It's a good size, fit my coffee this morning. But anyways, it's super cute on front and back. So if you go to hoopsisters.com, the banner on the top has a registration button and just put in your information. You will get an email confirmation that you're registered and you will get this free gift so you can start making that right now. Has anyone made this that's watching live? Brenda, she made it yesterday and I've seen some people post it in the VIP group, which is really fun too. So good job, Brenda. She says it's so easy. Can we know what material line you're using for Strawberry Patch? Yes, we will give more information on that next Thursday and Friday. It's adorable. I don't know, Anne. Technology is super weird. If you're having trouble using your iPad, maybe just switch to your iPhone or your computer. Okay. And it also looks like Elizabeth made this last night too. So awesome. As well as Linda. You guys are on it. All right. I'll pass it back over to you, Linda. You can go ahead. I got you on camera. I don't think she can hear me.
Okay, except I can hear you. Can you hear me? My demo cam just went out.
I saw that. That's why I thought
maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. Give me a sec.
So while you're doing that, that's a very good point. So our registration, I'm going to pop this back up while Linda gets set up. Nina added this. This is a really good point. And if you're having trouble on your iPad, make sure you're not using Firefox or DuckDuckGo. So for some reason, those web browsers have issues with registration. But if you use Safari, you should be fine. I use Safari on my Mac. So, okay. All right.
I'm back.
You want this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay. So here's our finished block. Here's the two that I just stitched just now. This is the second feathered star one. And you can see what happens here. This is how it's in the hoop in this orientation. But when you actually sew it together, you turn it completely upside down. So what I like to do before I trim all of my blocks, I like to figure out what blocks in what orientation are for each block. Hopefully I didn't confuse you. But in your instructions, it'll say A3, C1, C1, E7, E7, etc. And it'll tell you exactly how to trim each of these little sections. Whenever you see red, like here we have red here on the long left side. Here we have red at the very top of these two. This one we have red at the bottom. That's where your batting is going to go. So that's where we will trim 1/4 of an inch from your basting stitch through your fabric and your battleizer. If you don't see red, that's when the Trimmer by George comes in. So we trim all the rest of the sides using the Trimmer by George. So I know that I'm working on block F6. So I'm going to mark this one, F6, and I'm going to make sure I have my orientation in the right direction. Actually, on this one, it doesn't matter because I'm trimming all 4 sides. This one, I'm also trimming all 4 sides. So I'm just going to put an F6 here, just so if I get them all separated, I know where they go later. So I think you've all seen the Trimmer by George a few million times, but we always like to show it again because it's wonderful. We have a 4.5-inch acrylic ruler that's 12.5 inches long, and it's got a metal crimped edge on one end of it. And this is what's used to protect your fabric, because what we need to do is roll back your fabric, and we need to cut away the battleizer that'll be in your seam allowance. So that's where the metal edge comes in. Now this block and this block, I'm going to do all 4 sides. I don't have to worry about leaving any extra for the binding. So I shimmy it right up to the basting line. I lay the trimmer flat. I give it a slight tug, make sure no fabric is sticking out. We want to use a 60mm rotary cutter and rotary cut right along that metal edge and remove your battleizer. And we'll do that on all 4 sides of this little column. So once I have the battleizer removed from all 4 sides, that's what it looks like on the back. I like to turn it over, especially if I have darker fabric or even the white. I can see a little bit better to trim all of this messy stuff right here. So I like to do it with the right side down. Then I flip over my trimmer, and I'm going to use my 1/4-inch line and put it right along the edge of my cut battleizer and clean all of this stuff up. Get it nice and neat. So there's this one. So I'm going to give this one a really quick trim, and then we'll start pinning them together and stitching them. Aubrey, I think we need background music like on Jeopardy.
I know. I could do that.
Trimming music, that's what we need. There you go. Okay, I'm done. So here's my 3 sections of the block. Easy peasy.
So cute.
So next we're going to pin them and stitch them together. So I have, pins would be helpful. I forgot to grab some pins. Here's a few pins. So I'm going to...
I did have a question about that pen you were using, your Frixon pen. Someone asked, what pen are you using?
This, now you're going to use whatever works with your fabric. This is called a Frixon pen. And these pens, there we go. These pens can leave shadow marks on your fabric. So you want to be careful. But as you notice, I'm writing in the seam allowance area right here. I'm not writing, usually I don't write right on top of my block. So, and it will iron off, but on occasion, especially if you put a dark color, I've done it on like a red, it shows up great on red, but then when you iron it, or blue, it'll leave like a white shadow mark. So whatever works for your fabric, you can use a water soluble pen. You can use a air erase pen. This is an iron off one. This is a Frixion. You can use chalk, but that's what mine is. I love them. I use them a lot. I'm just very careful with them. So we want to pin these two seams here. So with our pinning, I want to match what we call match points. So of course it would be this seam right here and this seam right here. So I'm going to take a pin and put it through so that it comes out right on my match point, which is my basting line and my stitching line. So hopefully you can see that. And then I'll come across to the next one and put it in the same place. So my pin is going through like this, and then give it a good pinch. Keep all your edges pretty much level, even. Pinch it nice and tight. And then you take a second pin and you just put it in like this and remove the first pin. So that's what we'll do with every match point. I've got these two seams matched up. Now I'm going to do my corners. And this is a short distance between match points on this particular block. But if it's a longer distance, I still would put a pin every couple of inches, lining up your basting line, just so that when you sew it, it'll stay in the right place. So this is another corner, right at the corner there. Come across to the opposite corner, give it a pinch. So now that it is pinned, now we'll take it to the machine and we'll actually start. I like to lower my needle right there at the corner of my battleizer, back up maybe 1 or 2 stitches, and then stitch right along that basting line. And at this end, I will go past this basting line here a couple of stitches and do a small back tack. Okay, so then we pin that. We stitch that, I'm sorry. Then this is what it looks like after it's stitched. And you can see that everything lines up pretty good. You can also see a little bit of my water soluble thread right here, but I'm not going to worry about it because that's going to wash out. So now we're going to press this. So in your instructions for each block, it says for the Friendship Star, it wants my seams pressed toward the center. So this is the center. Let me move my iron. So I'm going to press it toward my green here. I do like to use a little bit of Mary Ellen's Best Press. Just give a light spray. And the seam, I'm using a strip stick, which is a rounded stick on one end and flat on the other end. The flat end stays on your ironing board. And that way you can press right on your seam and not be worried about pressing your block, your pretty quilting flat. So I press it on the back side and then I do turn it over and press it on the front side as well. Get it nice and flat.
Your iron matches your fabric.
Of course it does. And now I am ready to stitch to apply this one. So that'll be the next one I pin. So I will pin that. I will pin this one on the same way by doing all of my match points and then stitch it. So this is what we have when we're finished. And I'm going to press the final seam. So this seam is already pressed toward the middle. I'm going to press this one toward the middle. My iron is really nice and hot, so that seam, you can see how pretty and flat that seam lays. Okay. And I am finished.
Ta-da! It's beautiful.
Thank you.
All right. I did star some comments that if you want to
Okay.
take a look and answer some questions, and
Yep.
then we do want to talk about updates too.
Yes, we forgot to mention that before. Okay, let's see. We probably don't want to remove my demo cam, right?
No, don't do that.
That caused a problem before. Okay.
Mhm.
But you can get rid of
You
it.
want me to put you like this?
There we go.
Okay.
All right. Who is George? I love to tell the George story. Mark wants to know who is George. So our trimmer by George was actually invented by George Orbank. And George, his wife Martha used to stitch samples for Annie and I when we very first started. They actually did the double wedding ring sample for Annie, and she was test sewing the blocks, and Martha had a lot of trouble cutting the fabric off the front of her block because she was just using a rotary cutter and a ruler or a scissor to remove your battleizer. So George went to his workshop and he crafted out of actually aluminum gutter material. He made this little trimmer, the very first one. This is the third generation of our trimmer. And it was all completely aluminum gutter material, and it had this cramped edge. And he made those for us for years until he couldn't do it anymore. And then we went with an acrylic one, which was our 2, which was 6.5 inches wide. And then this is 3, which is 4.5 inches wide. And the metal is a lot sturdier on this one. So this is going to be our final one. This one's fantastic. So that's who George is. Okay, Connie. Can we start piecing blocks together as we go along, or is that not a good idea? Connie, I think that's a great idea. I think you can. You see your layout. The last page of your instructions shows you your layout. Let me show that real quick. So you should be able to, you can see exactly where they go. I would recommend doing it in like quarters, so you've got 3 blocks here, 1, 2, 3 on that side. So you could probably do three across and maybe 4 down or something like that. So you can do it in sections. So yeah, I would. Why not? You'll get a jump on it. Okay, Mark. The directions say to trim 1/4 inch from the basting line. Are you trimming 1/4 inch past the battleizer? Yes, they do say to trim it 1/4 inch from the basting line. However, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I do 1/4 inch from the battleizer, which probably gives me a 1/16 of an inch more in fabric in my seam. As long as it's tidy and neat back there, it's not like, because when you sew them together, you're not matching your cut edges. You are matching your seam line. So that's not really a big deal, whether you go from the basting line or whether you go from the cut edge of your battleizer. But hopefully you can see. Oh, I have a little. The battleizer is in there maybe a 1/16 of an inch into your seam line. It's a little bit of a glare. But so I do like to do it from the edge of my battleizer, but either way is fine. Sandra says, is Mary Ellen's best press starched? I don't know. You'll have to ask Mary Ellen. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I call it starch. I've got a big bottle over there. Let's see what it says. It's clear starch. Oh, it says clear starch and sizing alternative. So I don't think she's calling it starch. I probably do just because it's a habit, but it works beautiful. Probably regular spray starch would work as well too, but I do like the Mary Ellen's Best Pressed. Karen wants to know, where do you get the press stick? So you can get these from us. This is called a strip stick. The strip stick right there. We do have it on our website. It's, how big is this? 18 inches long, and it's got a flat edge right here, a curved edge right here. So the flat edge goes on your ironing board and you press your seams over this curve, which keeps you from smashing all of this beautiful quilting. It only presses the very tip or the very edge of your seam. And you can even lay your iron full on because your iron's not going to go around the curve. So it does a beautiful job. Judy wants to know if I use steam when I press. I do not use steam. I've had bad luck with putting water in irons and them spitting on me. So that's probably why I like the Best Press, because it kind of gets it a little bit damp and helps it press better. And Brenda has the original George. I've got one too. George. Okay, we're gonna show them there we go. So we had a few updates from last week, so I wanted to bring up what they are. So on the fabric and thread key for week 2, which was our Ohio Star fabric, under fabric 3, we corrected the triangle count on pages 2 and 3. So that is for both the 6-inch and the 8-inch. I believe I had 10 triangles were needed, and a very nice, I forget her name, I didn't put it on here, person pointed out that we needed 15. So that's corrected and that's on your fabric and thread key. And I saw a lot of people got their blocks done. So they either had the corrected copy or they just cut more fabric. You have plenty of fabric. There's a long strip you cut it from and you have plenty. I just miscounted the number of triangles needed. And then this morning I changed on the Ohio Star directions on page 10. It actually said Friendship Star on it, which was a little clue as to what today was. So if you caught that, you already knew what this was going to be. So I changed that back to Ohio Star. So not a big deal, but I do like it to be right. So it is now. And that's on the Ohio Star instructions.
And I will say, in order to access those updates, it's super easy. You just go to hoopsisters.com and sign in and re-download weeks 1, 2, and the fabric and thread key. 1 and 2, it's just the wool, how big to cut the wool, I believe, Linda.
Yeah, and it was only 1/8 of an inch, which again wouldn't make any difference in your finished product. Yeah, I didn't talk about that, did I? Yeah, so for number 1, actually that wool correction would have been on every set of instructions. So they're corrected from this point forward. And then also on Ohio Star, we had a lot of questions about what width of strip on the page 2 of the instructions. So I just put that right on that page. So you don't have to go back to your fabric and thread key and figure it out. So that should help you in the future. When you go to make the blocks, you'll know exactly what to pick up.
And a lot of you already did your week 2. So you don't even need to really, unless you want to go download it. Okay, so yes, and again, just go to our website, just like you do every week when you get the new set of weekly files, and just re-download, and you'll have the up-to-date instructions and all that good stuff. And while we're on the topic, you can also reach out to Nina. Nina's actually going on vacation next week, so I'm scared. Because she's really good at helping you guys. So if you have any questions, get a hold of her and she will help you re-download if you're struggling with that or whatever the case may be. She can give you a hand for sure. In fact, Nina, could you drop a couple links for us? How about your mystery quilt ordering link and maybe even the link to register for the next workshop? How's that sound?
And also the strip stick.
Yes. And that might actually be in the mystery quilt link. Is the wool for,
okay.
I did see 2 other questions that I starred if you want to go check those out.
Yeah, I saw them too. So Rhonda, any way to refluff a block with wool if you forgot and press the block? You know, Rhonda, I would just put it in the quilt and dare anyone to figure out which one that was. I don't, it's not going to be real obvious if one block is a little bit flatter than the rest. So it's, yeah, I've done that. I've forgotten to press the whole thing and it got a little bit flatter. I put it in and then can't find it later. So I wouldn't worry about that one. And yes, Lisa, she says, is the wool different for week 4? It is. It's a different size. So there'll be a little bit different type of block for week 4. Okay. And Dale and Kathy, re-download everything. Yes, because when you download your mystery quilt, you're going to get everything. So you don't have to worry about picking and choosing what to re-download. You'll get the whole thing again. Right, Aubrey?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So that way you don't have to replace and figure out what was incorrect. You just re-download it and then everything's correct.
Mhm.
And that's the thing too. Like I will say, we're not perfect, but we will take a look at it and we will get it corrected for you. So, and if you have questions, you can always contact us directly as well. And I did see a comment earlier that said, when should we expect the replays? Because they were taking a couple days to get out. That's me. I had download issues week 1. Week 2, we were working through some updates and taking a closer look at different comments. So that took a little bit longer. But this email should go out a lot faster. And you can always catch the replays in our Facebook group as well as the live tab of YouTube. We'll have everything that we've streamed live. So you can access it right away. You don't even have to wait for the email that we will send. So just know that too. Okay. I have everything cut for all week. So far, it's fine. Yeah. So it was a super little correction. So I'm glad to hear that you're all good, Brenda. Okay. Anything else, Linda?
Yeah. Well, you kind of took the fall for the how long it took for week 2. Part of that was my fault because I had an extremely busy weekend and I just could not get to it.
Well, I just wanted
so
I wanted to send it all at once. I didn't want to do like, here's a little, here's that. So
yeah,
I just made an executive. We're gonna wait.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
How do you get to the YouTube live? So Linda, you will just go after this live, search for us on YouTube, just Hoop Sisters, and they're at the kind of just under the cover. It'll have different tabs, and one of them says live. And everything that we do live is in there. So hopefully that helps. Okay. Anything else?
We have a giveaway.
Oh, we do have a giveaway. Gosh, why am I so bad at remembering that? Thank you, Linda. Did you see the comment friendship and it reminded you? Okay. All right, let's do a giveaway. Let's see. Okay, the word today, $25 in Hoop Sisters store credit.
Awesome.
So that's fun. You can spend it on the website. So let's do this drawing and let's see who the winner is. Now this is where I need more music. Okay, I'm not going to try to say your last name, Pat, but congratulations. You are the winner, Pat. So what you are going to want to do is email nina@hoopsisters.com. You do have 5 days to let her know that you just won $25 in Hoop Sisters store credit on the Mystery Quilt Week 3 Live, and she will get that added to your account. And then you can go shopping and get some fun stuff or save it till the workshop next week, however you want to do it. So, all righty. So I just saw another question. Are you not doing lives in the Facebook VIP group? So we are, but to our surprise, it aired out on us today. And these are things that you don't know until you hit the live button and something doesn't work. And we knew our YouTube link was working, so we went with it. We did share the YouTube live link in the VIP group today. We'll get that hopefully figured out, but it wasn't the plan to not go live. That's how it worked out today, unfortunately. Right. Okay. All right.
We have no control whatsoever.
Facebook is a monster. Who knows? We'll get it figured out though. But Okay, well then I think we're good for today, which means next week we're heading into week 4. And then the following week we have our final week 5, which is kind of amazing. So we only have 2 weeks left of the mystery, which means if you are on the fence at all, now's the time to jump in. In fact, drop us a number 3 if you're on the fence or you're thinking you might want to get started. And we can get you in touch with Nina. She can answer any questions you might have and get you on board. But other than that, we will see you next Wednesday. Same time, same place for week 4.
Yep. Thank you,
Thank you,
everybody.
Linda.